In 1996, a name that had haunted the FBI for nearly 2 decades was finally revealed. Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber, had evaded capture for 17 years, orchestrating a nationwide bombing campaign that left the country in terror. But what if we told you the key to his downfall was hidden in a manifesto, and the person who exposed him was someone from his own family? In this video, we delve into the chilling true story of the Unabomber, from his first deadly bomb to the emotional family twist that unraveled it all. Stick around, because this is a tale of psychological profiling, calculated terror, and a twist of fate that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Ted Kaczynski's story begins in Chicago, Illinois, in 1942. Born into a family of Polish descent, Kaczynski's early years seemed unremarkable, but beneath the surface, there were signs of a mind slowly unraveling. His intelligence was apparent from an early age, as he skipped grades and was accepted into Harvard University at just 16 years old. However, his time at Harvard was not the typical college experience. Instead of thriving in the social environment, Kaczynski became increasingly isolated. His intellectual prowess became his curse. He struggled to connect with others, developing a deep disdain for the societal pressures around him. At Harvard, he was exposed to controversial psychological experiments under the guidance of Professor Henry Murray, which many have suggested contributed to his eventual breakdown. These experiments, which subjected students to intense psychological stress, left Kaczynski scarred and further distanced from the world around him. After finishing his degree, Kaczynski took a drastic step. He abandoned his promising academic career and retreated to a cabin in the woods of Montana. The simple life he sought, far away from technology and society, would become the breeding ground for his radical thoughts. For years, Kaczynski lived alone in a remote cabin without electricity or running water. But it wasn't just the solitude he sought. He had a deep-seated hatred for industrialization and technological advancement. He saw modern society as corrupt and destructive, and his growing disdain for technological progress shaped his anti-technology manifesto. Kaczynski's first bomb exploded in 1978, marking the beginning of a deadly 17-year campaign that would leave the nation on edge. His targets weren't just random. They were carefully chosen individuals who symbolized the forces of industrialization he despised. Over the years, Kaczynski mailed a series of bombs that killed 3 people and injured 23 others. Each bomb was designed with meticulous care and often followed a specific pattern, making it clear that this was the work of someone with both intellect and malice. The FBI named him the Unabomber, a term coined from the words university and airline, the initial targets of his attacks. The Unabomber's bombs were unlike any other. They were intricate devices, often made from everyday materials like wood, metal, and electronics. Each attack was followed by a chilling claim of responsibility, and the police were left scrambling for answers. The mystery of his identity deepened as the bombings continued. In 1995, after a series of bombings, Kaczynski made a bold move that would ultimately lead to his capture. He published a manifesto in the New York Times and Washington Post. The 35,000-word document, titled Industrial Society and Its Future, outlined his beliefs about the dangers of modern technology and the oppression it caused. He demanded that his manifesto be published, or he would continue his bombing spree. His writing was a mix of philosophical musings and extremist rhetoric, calling for a revolution against industrial society. It was clear that Kaczynski viewed himself as a crusader against the technological world, driven by a misguided sense of moral superiority. For the FBI, this manifesto was both a breakthrough and a curse. While it provided insight into his warped mind, it also raised questions. Who would recognize the author? Kaczynski's writing style was unique, and if someone familiar with him could make the connection, it might lead to his capture. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Kaczynski's own brother, David Kaczynski. David, a lawyer, had been receiving strange phone calls from Ted during the bombing campaign. As he read through the manifesto, something clicked. The style of writing was eerily familiar, too familiar. David recognized his brother's distinctive tone, his philosophical language, and his angry criticisms of modern society. Although David had long suspected that his brother was involved in the bombings, he struggled to come to terms with it. He sought the advice of his wife and eventually reached out to the FBI. After much deliberation, David made the difficult decision to turn in his brother, providing the authorities with crucial information that led them to Kaczynski's cabin in Montana. The emotional toll on David was immense. In interviews, he later described the moment as one of the hardest decisions of his life, turning in his own flesh and blood. But ultimately, it was the recognition of his brother's writing style that unraveled the Unabomber's identity. On April 3, 1996, Ted Kaczynski was arrested without incident at his cabin. He was charged with multiple counts of murder and attempted murder. The arrest marked the end of one of the longest and most intense manhunts in U.S. history. The nation could finally breathe a sigh of relief. In the years following his arrest, Kaczynski became a symbol of the dark side of isolation, radicalism, and technological fear. His case became a touchstone for discussions on the limits of personal freedom, the dangers of radical ideologies, and the impact of technology on modern life. What drove Ted Kaczynski to such extremes? His psychological profile is one of deep contradiction. A highly intelligent man who rejected the very systems that enabled his success. His manifesto revealed a man who saw the world in stark black and white terms, where the only solution to societal ills was destruction and chaos. Experts have pointed to Kaczynski's intense isolation as a contributing factor. His reclusive lifestyle, combined with his disdain for society, created a perfect storm for radicalization. While many intellectuals debate the legitimacy of his arguments, it's clear that Kaczynski's thoughts were shaped by a blend of personal bitterness and a pathological hatred for technology. Ted Kaczynski's story is far from over. His case continues to raise questions about mental illness, the radicalization of individuals, and the impact of technology on modern society. Kaczynski, now serving a life sentence in prison, has become a figure of fascination for criminologists, psychologists, and historians. His manifesto, though filled with violent rhetoric, still has an eerie relevance in today's world, where technological advancements continue to shape every aspect of life. Was Kaczynski simply a criminal? Or was he a product of a society he couldn't fit into? His story challenges us to think critically about technology, society, and the fine line between genius and madness. The Unabomber's downfall wasn't just about a series of bombings or an intellectual manifesto. It was about a brother's recognition, a family torn apart by duty, and the lengths that a person will go to in order to defend society. Ted Kaczynski's case will continue to haunt us as we reflect on the personal and societal failures that allowed his terror to fester for so long. But it's also a cautionary tale. The story of the Unabomber is a reminder of the dangers of unchecked isolation, the destructive power of radicalization, and the importance of never underestimating the mind of a person who refuses to conform to society's norms. As we continue to evolve technologically, the lessons from Kaczynski's manifesto and his bombings must not be forgotten.